Good Tuesday morning. It is the Carstensen Team RE Results live show, and Michelle got on 5 seconds ago, so we are well prepared to talk to you today. We took last week off. We kind of warned you the week before we'd be pushing it back because June seems to be now the time where people are buying and selling in almost full force ever since the slowdown with COVID-19.
Tuesday morning. It is the Carstensen.
Michelle's sharing our watch party in the background. That's what happened.
I got to figure it out. We're good.
You got to figure it out. So, Michelle, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone that doesn't know me. I'm Michelle Carstensen, obviously the Carstensen Team in RE Results. I guess that's who I am. That is who I am. I've gotten the question recently from a few new buyers is how long have I been in real estate? Almost 6 years now. It'll be 6 years in October. So I can't believe I've been in real estate that long. I mean, I feel like that makes me feel old or something because that's quite a long time to be at one career, I guess, I think nowadays. So.
I just got my watch party shared. I like to remind people as we are on the air here that you are watching us live on Facebook right now, or you could be in the future watching recording. We are also on my YouTube channel, and then this recording goes out to the Real Life Impact podcast show, so you can listen to the recording at most of the places that you get podcasts if you desire. And today, as we've been recently doing, we're going to talk about what's happening in real estate. We can continue to get to know each other a little bit better. That's what we did last week. And Michelle said she's been in real estate now 6 years. That was probably one of our combined trivia questions a few weeks ago. Stacy might be joining us. She is in an appointment currently, so she might be on. We don't know. She might not. So we're on. We made it. Like I said, Michelle got on here about 12 seconds before the video. 5 seconds. Well, like by the time you got your sound going. So welcome to the show. Again, if you have any real estate questions, post them below. I'll get a banner reminding people of doing that in a minute. And also if you just want to say hi or share it or like it or love it, we're all good with that. So Michelle, get people up to speed with what you're seeing happening the last couple weeks or since our last show, or even just this month of June in Minnesota real estate.
Yeah, I mean, in the last couple of weeks, the market continues to pick up. I think we talked about that 2 weeks ago, but I would say even more in the last 2 weeks. There still are not a lot of houses for sale out in the market in Minnesota. Just not a ton, especially not in the Twin Cities suburb area, not even on the outer lying areas. I mean, if Stacy makes it on, she'll let you know that she put an offer in on a house and it was multiple offers about an hour north of the cities, close to $400,000 property, and it sold for $30,000 over the list price. That seems insane. But it's a wild market. It really is. And it's something that we see every spring for like the last, I think maybe the first year I was in real estate, I didn't see it too much, but the last 5 years, in the spring, this happens. And granted, it's almost July, but with COVID and everything that happened, it pushed back a little bit. So now we're kind of seeing the spring crazy market in June and July. Does that mean you can get a house or can't get a house? You can still get a house. You just have to have an experienced realtor on your side that if you need to buy a house in the next couple months, you need to listen to the realtors that know what they're talking about. I mean, let's be honest, some realtors have no clue what they're talking about. So, but that's okay. They'll learn as well. But yeah, the market is super busy. I'm writing offers sight unseen, not getting the properties. We do get some properties, obviously, but what does that look like? Why would I write an offer, Chuck, sight unseen? Why would I do that?
Well, there's probably about 3 reasons. One is the buyer knows is going to get multiple offers right away, wants to get their basically name in the hat for the offer. Another reason, somebody could be remote and they're not going to get to the property in time, and maybe they're in another state or area, and they just, again, want to have a shot at it. And nowadays you can also see online more photos, virtual tours. That could be another reason. And then probably the third reason would be, since I said there's 3, I got to come up with a third one. And Michelle can help me out because it might be different than what I'm saying. Third reason is somebody, a lot of times, this probably isn't Michelle's reason, could be an investor who's like, yep, if I get it at this price, I'll just buy it, which that's probably not going to work now if you're an investor sight unseen on new listings. And Michelle, did I miss one that you were thinking of?
No, I mean, all in all, it's usually like you've looked at a lot of houses or you haven't looked at a lot of houses, but you know what you're kind of looking for. So on paper, if the house looks like kind of what you're looking for, you make the offer, hope you get it, because some people work a lot and their shift doesn't allow for them to go see it. Well, then somebody might ask me, why wouldn't I go see it for them and do a video for them? I can do that. I have done that. But mostly, if you kind of know what you're looking for, you just put it contingent on inspection, buy the house, hope it's similar to what you're looking for. If you need to buy, I mean, at this point, you kind of got to do that. Sight unseen. Plus, like if you know, like you're in a price range where the houses are selling like left and right, multiple offers, like every single one has multiple offers. You know, it takes a lot of time to go see all those houses. And if you've got to work, it just doesn't make much sense. We have sold houses sight unseen. We talk about this almost every time. And I've not had any that hadn't worked out. They liked it enough to buy it. So that's basically why you go do that.
Yeah, and it's also up to, say, if we're representing a buyer, to give them accurate as possible information on it, whether it's getting them the disclosure, say what's maybe weird or different or what's on the disclosures. Also, when you're buying a contingent on inspection, the home inspector, and one of these shows we will have a home inspector on. We'll go look at it, give you a full report. And if you thought you missed something, you can ask for repairs. You can certainly pull out. We always remind people and tell people when they're buying a house, that inspector's going out there to find everything, which is good. And they're going to have about 50 things on the report. And about 40 of them are going to be, just so you know, maintenance items. Probably 4 or 5 of them, depending on the house, might be, if you're getting a loan, you probably should have the seller repair them or get them up to code, because they might come up on the appraisal for a loan like an FHA loan. And then 4 or 5 might be, hey, you should repair those when you get in there. You don't ask for the whole list that the inspector comes with. Although I had one little lady once do that, and the person actually fixed it. But other than that, nobody would ever fix a whole list.
Yeah, no, I mean, I hear you. And also there's, when you're in multiple offers, should you ask for an inspection? I mean, sometimes we don't ask for an inspection, knowing that if you don't ask for an inspection, you're actually more likely to get the house than somebody that asks for an inspection. And what do you say to check people that say, why would I not ask for a home inspection? What do you say to them?
Well, first of all, I always tell them I highly recommend you get a home inspection. The reason you wouldn't get a home inspection in the case that Michelle's referring to is, you know, there's going to be 5, 6, 7 offers. You're going to make a strong offer. Let's say it's the case where we look the home over very well, meaning we go on the showing, we look it over very well. What's that really mean? Well, we look at the age of mechanicals. Okay, they look like they're 12 years old. Inspector's going to say they're about at useful life. I'm sure they still work. It's fine. Yet we're not probably crawling in the attic or crawl space underneath. But other than that, you can look over the home pretty good, look at disclosures, and see that it's pretty well cared for. Then do you as the buyer want to give yourself that little, probably 5% advantage on maybe getting the offer through or not? And it's totally up to them. But sometimes they weren't people that were super likely to get an inspection, and that just got them off the hump, like, hey, I want to try to get this house. But I never encourage people not to do an inspection. I just explain the reason why it may work to not get a home inspection. And some people opt not to get a home inspection. I had one that we did actually buy the home sight unseen just a couple weeks ago. We did make a contingent on home inspection. They had not gotten 2 other previous offers, and they were not contingent on home inspection in one of them, and one they were. And I explained that very scenario. They weren't somebody who was actually going to do a home inspection. They just had some questions on one of the homes that they wanted to follow up with the county, but wanted to get an offer. And the other one, they didn't put in a home inspection contingency. And the third one we did because we hadn't seen it. So the home inspection was simply for us to go see the property. And then we went out there and asked for a couple repairs that would be needed for their FHA loan. And it did work. We did get the property sight unseen, and then they had driven by it and liked the location, and there was enough quality pictures online that when we got there, we felt good about it. But yeah, that could go either way. That's not for everybody.
Yeah, no, I mean, for sure.
But those people probably still wouldn't have a house if we didn't do that, because nothing else has popped up since then in the last 2 weeks that were in their search criteria. And if something did, there had been 6 offers. So that was that was when I first met them. That was a house they sent over, and it wasn't available for looking at that time. And then finally, after we went over 2 in these offers, I suggested, hey, why don't we just make an offer sight unseen? I emailed the listing agent, hey, can we make an offer sight unseen on this? They said, yep, why not? And finally got the word yesterday that a couple of the contingencies cleared, so now we're looking good to go. So that was an example, and Michelle said earlier about who you work with. That was just my idea that they wouldn't even thought of theirself that got them a house. Otherwise, we'd still be looking. And not that everything we do is perfect, and it's just having the ability, the experience, and the knowledge to give, the people who work with us an advantage more often than not, especially in these situations Michelle's talking about. And I would say that's even tougher where Michelle is in the Twin Cities compared to the outlying areas, like where I live in Cambridge, and this property was in this area. But yeah, there's not much for sale out here. We're literally listing our house this week. And it's the weirdest thing. I haven't listed a house for sale myself, my own house, probably really legitimately ever, like while we lived there. So I've been doing this 18 years. Michelle said 6 years on her, and 18 years, if people haven't followed a long time. And I've never on my own listed my own house that I've lived in all 18 years of being in real estate. Isn't that crazy?
That's crazy, Doc. I guess I haven't in 5.5 years either, but I mean, yeah, so now you get to understand how everything's going.
And it is sort of stressful. Like this week's our get the last things figured out. We put it on coming soon. Just today, Esther put on coming soon. I had posted it kind of off market. We hadn't signed any listing, for sale by owner for a few days. Got a couple inquiries. I'm like, this isn't actually working. 2 people inquired. Like if you are for sale by owner and you don't say you're licensed real estate on it, you'll have 75 agents call you, or probably in Cambridge about 20 or 15. It would just drive me nuts. Like I wouldn't want that. So I don't know why, other than people think they're going to save money selling for sale by owner, and it's hard to say if you do or don't, because it's apples to oranges. You're not open to the whole market, even if you post it on a couple websites. So my brief experience of for sale by owner, 10 times better. I know once it gets on MLS, it'll. So I would say the fact that 10 times more people actually will contact and show it non for sale by owner. I just proved that just by a brief experience myself, proved that. Boy, I don't know why you'd list for sale by owner, because barely anybody calls you except people that don't have realtors that are kicking tires.
Well, I asked you why you did it for sale by owner, but you had a reason. You haven't found a house that you like yet. So you're like, oh my gosh, what if we sell and we can't find a house?
Well, hadn't found a house. And there's a couple out there that we like, but they're overpriced. And hadn't found a house, hadn't been ready. We're getting the painters in there tonight to finish some inside painting. We had a pressure wash. We're painting the deck today. Samantha and Melissa should be painting as we speak, so they're probably not watching the show. And Melissa had a tonality that was like not super mad, but wasn't like probably happy I'm doing other things right now other than helping her paint. There's only room for 2 people on the deck when you're painting a deck, just so you know. So
I don't think there's room for 2 people on the deck. And you just use a roller, like painting the decks. Like, okay, yeah, it's outside, but it's a lot easier than painting your house, that's for sure.
Yeah, you have more margin for error.
Oh, for sure.
That's why they're not hiring that part out.
Yeah, no, for sure. So I look at it as, those are some things you can do. Sight unseen, make offers. Go, if you do see the house, go without an inspection. Especially like on a condo or townhome. Again, I always say that you should get an inspection too, but I think at least 50% of the time on a condo or townhome, we don't get an inspection. And that's basically because usually an association covers the outside, not necessarily the windows or maybe not the garage door, but the siding and the roof and the structure around it is always covered anyways. And when we say we don't do an inspection, say on the properties that you are offering on, or I've done somewhere we don't do an inspection, and sometimes it's because people don't want to spend the $500. They figure if a stove doesn't work, it costs $500 anyway. We do on the final walkthrough that we do the day before closing or day on closing, we start the furnace up, we start the AC up, we start all the appliances up, we make sure everything's running, not just like, oh, it turned on, like make sure cold air is coming through the AC, make sure hot air is coming through the heater, which when it's really super hot out, it's really hard to get the furnace to come on sometimes. But we do make sure we do that before closing. So you do know all the things that the inspector would check are working in working order at that moment, just like they are at the moment when the inspector checks it. Doesn't mean it's happening at walkthrough. I know I had one recently where part of the stove didn't work. It worked at the inspection, didn't work at the walkthrough, and then we had to negotiate on that as well. But yeah, those are a couple things that you can do to try to help yourself get a house now. And like Chuck was talking about, we are looking at properties that are expired off the market or about sale by owner, but we're like digging further to find something for you if there's currently not something on the market. A lot of the houses, anything around 250 or under, sell right away. So those are the ones that are kind of difficult. But you know, I was going to show a house that was about 600,000 the other day, and it sold second day on the market as well. So it just depends what the niche is and what's in the area for sale and what people are looking for, definitely. So it's hard to say, but yeah, you can get a house. Another thing we talk about is closing costs. And I don't know, we've talked about this a little bit, but not a lot. If you have any way to get your closing costs covered, or some of them covered with your own money or maybe a gift money, you're going to be a way better off in these multiple offer situations. Now, if there's not a multiple offer, you should be okay. You can probably get them covered somehow, either by rolling them on top of the list price. So what that means is if the house is $250,000, 3% of the closing cost was 3% is what it's going to usually cost you to close if you're financing your house. So that'd be $7,500 we'd maybe be putting on top of the price. So then you're offering $257,500, and they're paying your 3% closing cost, which makes it come down to the list price at $250,000, basically in the current market, unless the house is overpriced. Now, a lot of people need the closing costs. So can you still get a house that way? Yes. I mean, like we said, you can. It's just a lot tougher to do in multiple offers. Most people are going to take the offer that the buyer is not asking for the closing costs in that sale. I mean, what are your thoughts on that, Chuck?
Well, yeah, the seller's going to look at net sale price. And a prime example, I'm going to be a seller here very shortly and likely entertaining offers soon. And my strategy on the pricing, we have a few little things that people would probably update. So, and what Michelle's saying is true in many areas. I would say at least as you go Highway 95, which is where Cambridge is in South, most of those areas, if it's priced right, it gets multiple offers. I've been noticing Cambridge homes, I got a 5-bedroom, 2-bath, the 3-bedroom, 2-bath, the 4-bedroom, 2-bath, similar style homes are listing at $229,900. We're listing at $219,900 because of a few little things I think people might want to do. And what I know, and what a lot of sellers don't realize, if you get work to do in your house, or the buyer sees work to do, they think it's 3 times as much, which it's not. But if you price it, well, the other one's sold at that price and there's a little bit of work to do, you got to be under the other prices. So I'm pricing under there. Now, as a seller, I'm going into it knowing in my area that almost everybody's going to ask for closing costs. So I thought about different pricing strategies. I thought about even going lower. Then I'm like, that's stupid. The 229 houses are getting bid up to, or at least the closing costs are getting rolled on top, meaning people might be paying 229 and say, hey, I need 7,000 closing costs. So then they're actually paying 236, 237. And if it's multiple offers, some of those 230 houses are going for 240 with 3% seller paid closing costs. So in my case at 219.9, I'm still not 100% sure, even though I've been doing this 18 years, how people are going to respond to our green countertops in our bathroom and purple countertops in our kitchen, which are things I think most people would want to change. And then disclosure-wise, we have a couple instances that we had some seepage in the basement of water, which sometimes people run in fear, but basically that was user error, meaning our stupidity allowed our not paying attention, like cleaning the gutters, not cleaning the gutters, and allowing like some dirt to go to a window well and then water seeping in. It wasn't a house problem. It was just us not paying attention. But some people worry about that. Like, oh, look at that. I'm like, oh, I'm never going to live there. So basically because of that, I priced it down. So my guess is on our price at 219.9, we should get multiple offers, and people who want closing costs will actually roll them on top. But me as an owner who's in real estate knows that, okay, we'll look at the feedback, see what happens, and make the adjustment. I'm not like a rigid person. It's just going to be whoever makes the best offer and pick what looks like it'll close too, because sellers want to also pick somebody who's going to get to the finish line.
Right. Yeah. No, I mean, that's good they have that experience to like help people and share that with them. Also, like for sale by owner, you did it for a little bit, but you know what you're doing. Imagine the people that list it like that and have no clue what they're doing.
Well, you just get people that can't buy the house and realtors calling you if you're for sale by owner. You don't actually get too many legitimate buyers. You get some. Obviously, people do sell it for sale by owner, but what I'm saying is you don't know if you're actually getting the most. I see for sale by owners listing the price $30,000 too high. That doesn't work. If I was listing my price too high, like the similar type of houses, a little bit dialed in better are $239,900 in my area now. So I'm literally 20,000 under what it would be if I had a couple more things dialed in. Now, some people might be, why would you not fix more things and make it better? If I fix more things and make it better, I just live there. Like right now, I'm fine with giving somebody a deal. Now, the buyers out there and the agents out there got to be smart enough to know that if you can switch out countertops and do a couple things, you're literally getting a deal. Like nobody else is offering that right now in the market. So me personally, you might be like, Chuck, why would you offer that? Well, we bought this 7 years ago as a foreclosure bottom of the market. We did do work on it, but we also bought it at a point where like I don't need the extra $10,000 I could get. I just fine seeing what happens, and somebody maybe saves a few bucks. So most sellers don't do this, right, Michelle? Most sellers are like, I need all the money.
They want too much money, and then
every penny. I'm going to be pissed off if I don't get every penny.
Yeah, no, they want too much money, and then we list it for what they want, because once in a while we do that, and then we end up dropping in 10 or 20,000.
And what Michelle said, we don't always list what they want, but I always sit down and say, here's what the market value is. If you go this high, which is what you're telling me you want, here's what happens. You get barely any showings, bad feedback, and nobody buys it. And then there's typically, and we might have some people who you know, have their, typically what I've experienced in this situation is typically the older generation wants more. Typically our generation typically listens to us. It's the older generations are like, no, I worked for 70 years and it's worth that much.
Right. Or sometimes people need a certain amount out of it to get to their next house. I have to let my dog out.
Okay, Roxy's got to go to the bathroom. Okay, we can excuse you for a second, Michelle. That means I'll be solo here. So, while Michelle's gone, I'm going to introduce trivia. I said we always like to do a giveaway. So if you comment or share or like it, in the past we've done a giveaway, and we're trying different things here to get interaction. So our trivia is down below, and this is on the Get to Know Us segment for today. So to answer the trivia, you just got to comment below. This question, now that I read it, probably has two answers. One's very easy. It's getting to know me. In the recent months, I've started to post daily devotional messages to my Active Rain real estate blog. So it's a two-part question. This is like simple. You can find this online if you find me on Active Rain or follow some of my social media. How many blogs have I posted? But then the actual question, which would be the tiebreaker, would be how many have I written, which I took a snapshot of how many I've written. And that one's just a guess. I've got written where I can post them out literally for a while longer without, if I never wrote one again, I'd have several weeks of messages. So we like to do our trivia question either about the real estate team. And I asked the team for feedback on trivia questions. So nobody gave me one. So I wanted to come up with one. And that's all I could think of. So this one is two parts. How many daily devotional, those are daily, I'd say, spiritual messages I post out my blog. That one's easy. You can literally count the days and get the answer. And then how many I've written in total. That one is going to be a total guess for you. That's going to be like the tiebreaker answer if like 3 people look up the answer of the first one online. And you're back, Michelle. That was our trivia question. I consulted nobody on that since nobody gave me a question.
I guess I didn't respond to your email today.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, you ask me questions and emails where I half respond to too. So it's totally how that goes.
Yeah, or I have to email you twice. No, that's not too often, just once in a while. I couldn't think of any, so I just didn't respond.
I couldn't think of any, and then I'm like, okay, what can I think of? That's what I thought of. This will be my chance to see if our listeners actually know that I write a daily devotional. And every once in a while, I'll post a link to Twitter. Every once in a while, I post one to Facebook. Not every day. Every once in a while, I post to LinkedIn. So you can probably go on my real estate, not on the real estate page. I might have only shared it once there. You could probably go on my Chuck Carstensen Facebook page. and click a couple spots below and get into my blog, and then do that question and get the answer that way, and then save it and read it daily, so I have some readers. Okay, so that's going to be on the scroll below, and please comment with your answer. And again, we'll give away a $25 gift card. I know people probably are getting sick of Applebee's, so I can go out to Target and get a $25 Target gift card or something. I don't have it in my possession. I'd have to physically go to the store and do that, which I could. So we'll give away a different gift card. Say $25 gift card of your choice. How's that sound? That's even better.
That sounds good. And they can literally Google that and get the answer. So
they can Google to get the first answer. The second answer is like the tiebreaker. Nobody knows. Other than me, nobody knows how many I've actually written. But I did screenshot it, so I can't just make up the answer. I was going to text you, Michelle, but then I noticed there was 30 seconds before the show and you weren't on, so I had to text you to get on the show.
I was trying. So the neighbors they took down some trees, some pine trees, a couple years ago, and they're finally like getting their backyard looking nice. I don't know who would see it anyways, but so there's a bunch of landscape people out there. So Roxy keeps coming in and out. Like, she gets thirsty and then she wants to go back out. So I was running around trying to get her in and out. So, and none of the kids are home this afternoon, so I don't got anyone to watch Roxy, just myself. So
that's the thing about owning pets.
What do they say about pets? You got to make $5 million or you shouldn't have one.
That was Grant Cardone. You should not own a dog if you don't make $5 million a year. You should not be picking up dog poop all day. That was Grant Cardone. He's like a sales type of guy and sells programs and books and stuff. So, which kind of makes sense. But what Grant doesn't know is I need to get 10,000 steps in a day. And when I walk Scouty and occasionally have to pick up his poop, I feel better about myself. So there can be reasons, but if that's all you're doing is taking care of your crazy dog who destroys your house, and Roxy does not destroy your house, but if we've seen houses that have been destroyed by dogs, then you probably should have a pet. But anyway, now we're in some other topic, and somebody's going to be mad at me for saying you shouldn't have a pet if you can't take care of them.
Oh, I think you should have a pet. I love my pet.
Okay, good. Michelle is for pets.
My pet is like the most calm thing in this house half the time. So,
and one of our trivia questions a couple of weeks ago, remember, was how many pets and kids total?
Yeah, how many pets and kids total?
We come up with some crazy trivia questions. I see nobody is answering my trivia question now. Either nobody's watching, or people are like, "What? Daily devotionals? I don't worship Jesus. I worship something else." No, I'm just kidding.
No, I think there's people watching. Maybe they'll answer it soon. Maybe they don't see it scrolling. But yeah, so heading into July with the market, I don't see it slowing down even for the holiday. Sometimes it slows down around the holiday, but not much. I mean, we still see that we're answering calls that the other realtors aren't calling or answering. And I don't know how many calls I've had this week where people are like, my realtor's out of town. Can you, my realtor's out of town, so can you show me the house? And here's my answer. So we have 3 of us, which you guys kind of see, me and Chuck for sure. We have a third. And anytime one of us is out of town, or sometimes me and Chuck are out of town together, we always have a third person to cover. And let's just say somehow we are all 3 out of town at the same time. We will find somebody else that's covering for us too. So, I mean, I kind of feel like do what you want, but if you have a realtor that doesn't have somebody covering for them to help you when they're on vacation, even that you'd really like to just have your realtor, they need to up their game. Tell them they need to up their game. So that's my thoughts for today.
Yeah, and it's tough. There's some people, which I agree with Michelle, like if your realtor should have coverage when they're out of town. And why would somebody need to see a home now? Just what we said early in the show, if you missed it, that homes are selling right away. You got to get right out to them. We're making offers sight unseen because they're going so fast in certain pockets in certain areas. Yeah, there are certain pockets where the homes are not moving as fast for whatever reason. We've seen probably 55 plus type of homes be slower during COVID because that age group is very likely hunkered down and not moving or don't want as many people in their house. So that kind of home is selling less. The third tier listings in most areas, especially the outlying areas, first-time homebuyer homes super fast. The move-up homes, very few of them. That's why there's fewer homes, but they'll sell fast. And then that once you get to that third level where it's like, I'm going to upgrade my house, but do I need to upgrade it that much? in some of those areas, it's not as fast. Like I said, with what we're looking at, we have a couple properties we actually have our eye on. They're not selling. Like, think about this. Properties not selling. Well, they're overpriced. I told the agents they're overpriced. Well, it's no, it's overpriced. I said it's overpriced, and it's still for sale 3 weeks later. So if it's still for sale 3 weeks later, you're wrong on your price, and I'll make a lowball offer soon, and I'll be that guy. I'll be that guy.
I know. Well,
But I still might end up homeless, because you got to understand a buyer. I know this, and some buyers don't know this, and we tell us, like, they're still on their price. Might get a house, so they don't know where I'll be living. I guess we'll be moving in with Michelle or something.
Yeah, there's room.
She's not confident in that. We'll disperse all across the nation.
Yeah. I mean, it's good that you're in the market now too, to see like what's going on. Interest rates are still low. I mean, we talked about that for every show we've done, but I think around 3% or lower, depending on your credit score. I think they're lower than they were actually like 3 months ago. So from what I've seen with my buyers getting properties now as well. So yeah, I mean, we were just talking about, does people look over the holiday? Yeah, they'll for sure be looking. There's not any houses on the market. So not, especially in the first time home buyer 250 range, for sure people will be looking over the holiday. And what do we see trending? So we still see a lot of people holding out on withholding their house from the market because they're just not sure if they should move, or again, kind of like you, they haven't found anything to move into, and you can like almost not make a house purchase contingent on selling your house unless like you're going out of the area, or in an area that's not, very hot on home sale.
We probably answered this before. Let's address that question here for people.
Yeah.
You can sell your home now. Some people don't know this, subject to finding another property. So if you're like, well, I'm not going to put my house in the market, there's nothing out there, kind of like I talked about and Michelle's bringing up now, you can sell it subject to finding a property of your choice. And then the buyer, you had one, Michelle, that the buyer gave 30 days to find a home?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Or the seller said 30 days, the buyer agreed, and it ended up closing. I had one recently where the buyer only gave us 7 days. My people were pretty serious, active looking, and now we're in the inspection period. But that was hard because I think when you post it as a seller, just to know, less people want to make an offer and wait to see if you get a house, because they're like, oh, what if they don't get a house? Then I don't get this house and I wasted 30 days, 20 days, 1 week. So I caution people to do that, but also to get your house out there if you have options you like. If you have 0 options you like, I don't know about that. If you have options you like, I would say get it out there, maybe put that in notes, but then be seriously active looking, because it's tricky to do that, even that sounds good. What are your thoughts on that, Michelle?
Well, I mean, I actually think we have 45 days, maybe it was even 60. I don't know. It was quite a long time, but the buyers, they were like in a rental situation where it's month to month. So they were fine with it. They really wanted the house. And so they were willing to wait for it. A lot of times people aren't in that situation where they can wait, or sometimes they'll stay somewhere else until they can get the house. As long as like you keep actively looking with the seller, like I don't think it's quite an issue. I think more people are doing it than we know, because a lot of times if you like look on Zillow, you don't even know that the people need to find a house or you can't buy their house. So I mean, a lot of times that it actually works out. And also like people that are in leases now. So say your lease runs out in December. Not as often as they do in other months, but just say your lease runs out in December. I mean, honestly, you should be actively having a search set up now if you know you want to buy in December, because you can literally close November 15th and your first payment's not till January 1st, which is the same as what your lease payment would be. I don't suggest that you wait till October and start looking for a house. You might not be putting offers in right now, but you got to start kind of seeing what you want in a house. So when it does come up, it'd be worth it to know what it is and be willing to not necessarily break that lease, but make an offer and get yourself moving, because we don't know what the market's going to do. Normally in the fall, it slows down. Winter slows down more just because there's still not a lot of houses on the market. But if it continues to be a market where it's a seller's market and not a lot of houses on the market will keep pushing for a seller's market straight into the fall. So we won't see a lot of slowdown.
Yeah, and I think that's why this month has been pretty wild. That's why it's hard even now to to be on here. I'm sure we'll have a bunch of emails when we get off and people I want to call and keep moving. And I know this week I just listed one today, a small 1-bedroom home, but it looks bigger than it is with a decent yard and 2-car garage and fully for $99,900. They update a lot of the mechanicals. There are some people that are just approved for $100,000. That's literally the only house you can buy. That's not, that's got updated mechanicals and in good shape. I'm listing one Thursday, Friday in Zimmerman for $199,900. I don't think there's any 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom home in Zimmerman. This one's got almost probably 4/10 of an acre that are under 200. So those are listings that, those kind of listings go fast. Our home that we're listing, I said that one's going to be below what other ones are. So just in general, how many people are probably looking for all those homes that I mentioned? Several people are probably looking, and only one of them will get it. And then there's still no home, or maybe 2 of those kind of homes come up and they're gone, and several people are looking. So many people are going to keep getting pushed back as they're not quite aggressive enough with their offers or hoping the market tames down. And yeah, that should push it off into the fall just because of the supply and demand.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so for sure.
And then one other thing I wanted to bring up that I thought would be helpful for people to know, where do we see the market going next spring, next year? What are experts predicting? And I read on this, stay in touch. Like most experts predict, I don't even think experts predicted the market to have this increase this spring. Now, when you look at numbers, its appreciation is year over year. This June compared to last June. Then at the end of the year, they say, here is the yearly appreciation. So we are up, like I said, in most areas, most pockets of listings this year. Will it be up next year? And what I'm reading is half the experts predict it'll be a little bit decreased, some a little bit increased, literally -2% to +2% appreciation, which means in general, it's going to be pretty flat is what they're saying. So the prices probably aren't going to be too much up or down next year. That could change, obviously, when we get into it. Meaning, yeah, this might be, as you're a seller, top of the market. And then if you're a buyer, you might be like, I'm going to wait. Well, if it's not going up or down next year, there's not much to wait. There might just be an opportunity here or there. Your thoughts on that, Michelle? Have you been seeing or reading or thinking anything differently?
Well, I mean, again, I've been doing this 5.5 years, but I think that we're actually experts in the market. I mean, we saw COVID happen, and I've said this before in one of these that I saw a couple of realtors being like, get your cash ready. It's going to be, everything's getting foreclosed on and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, no, it's not going to happen. They, whether people like it or not, gave $600 extra a week to everyone that got unemployed for a while, which helped them out and make it. And will there be foreclosures? There's always foreclosures. But I actually feel like it's going to continue to be like 5% higher. I mean, I don't see it flat next spring. Like, are you like if we're talking about the whole year in a fall? Yeah, okay. But next spring, if this continues to keep rising and the interest rates stay down, even if they don't, but if you think about it though, there's still not going to be enough supply for the demand. So I think it's going to be up a little bit, which is what I hope, because that's where my house will probably go on the market. But either way, I mean, if it's flat where it's just this is like, that's one reason you're selling your house. It's worth more than it's ever been worth before. So it's a good time to sell. Now, where do you buy? I mean, some people are renting. I hear a lot of people are actually choosing not to rent and buy, and that's probably why the market is what it is right now as well. But I definitely think it's not going to go down at all. We're not going to see it go down. There's not enough. Again, we've been saying this for literally like 3 years. There's not enough homes on the market, supply and demand, Yeah,
nationwide, there, every so often I read we're about 1 million roofs short. Like there's literally 1 million supply shortage of houses. That's why it's not going down. Then, like Michelle said, when extra money is actually pumped into the economy, whether it's SBA or whatever those PPP loans or $600 extra for people getting unemployment, so then they don't have to lose their house or whatever the situation is, or can pay their rent. That's extra money that typically inflates certain values a little bit. And then what people forget, especially in Minnesota, even if somebody did lose their job, somehow not get any of that money, or their business went under, because are seeing businesses go under, especially restaurants and other businesses too. And say they had a home that they were going to let go of, it's 12 months before the foreclosure is said and done, and then normally another 6 months before a bank lists it. And nowadays, they're just selling them a lot of times to some hedge fund type of investor situation, and you don't even see it in the market. So those foreclosures would have been long far off, and yeah, we're just not seeing many of them. So I know when COVID hit, I first said a lot of things like, hey, it wasn't going to go down, should be fine. I even said, don't shut any businesses. Don't I should just keep it open. Let people get sick if they're going to get sick, which in retrospect, I probably sounded like a meanie, and some people would totally think that was wrong. But now how it's going currently, I don't know. Maybe they shouldn't have shut anything down. Maybe they should have. I don't know. They did what they did, and here we are. So it's one of those things where it seems like it's something that's out there. What people always forget about is that there is a cycle in life that just happens no matter what. So we can't really play God with certain things. And sometimes I think government tries to do that. And if people don't believe in God, that's fine. You can believe in whoever you believe in. But like, there is a cycle of life that happens. There's a cycle in business that happens. And you just have to be prepared, ready, educated, and be able to move and pivot with it. And a lot of people just weren't ready for that and haven't done that yet. So it's one of those things where the people that have done that are going to do better, and the people who haven't done that or just pretend it doesn't happen, that doesn't help either. So anyway, I'm going totally on a tangent, Michelle. You got to reel me in.
I'm just letting you go with your squirrel story. No, I'm just kidding. It's not really a squirrel story. Oh, I got my Average Sucks books in the mail today.
Finally. I already read it.
Weeks. I know. I'm sad. It took like 2 weeks to get it, but yeah, I'll start reading it. And it will be a short read.
Like Michael said, it's like the easiest book to read. It is literally the easiest, quickest book to read. If you don't like to read books, it's the quickest, easiest read, just how he writes it. And then and how he has more paragraphs and stuff and everything. It's like the quickest read. I just like, oh, wow, this is like the quickest book to ever read for 200 plus pages.
I'm not a big reader. I like to listen to the book. And AJ got a, what is the thing that you get in your house and it'll read the book to you?
Alexa or something?
Yes, Alexa will actually read the book to you, even though it's not on audio yet.
Really?
So she was starting to read the book to us because AJ had downloaded it on Kindle. So that was pretty funny. But yeah, no, I got that in the mail. But yeah, I mean, I've been doing really good at not watching the news. Because we've said this from the beginning, you can watch news if you want. That's your choice. And our choice is to stay more positive, try to reach as many families as we can to help them with their housing, whether it's buying, selling, renting, run away to a lake house. And the more positive you stay, the better. And it's not that easy to do if you're on social media all the time, looking at the negative or watching the news, because let's be honest, nobody really knows what's going on except for, whatever you believe in, I suppose.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And my experience with that is when this all hit, I was reading and watching the news a little bit like, oh, I got to pay attention to what's happening. And yeah, we had our worst April, like probably ever. I can't even remember, even when I solo, having like April. And there was stuff happening, but it was wheel spinning stuff. It wasn't like we're sitting around bored. And then May was probably a typical May, and June we've already kind of hit our numbers from last year in June. But the market's still touchy, so by the end of the month we'll see where we're at. And I don't think I've watched a news story in like 3-4 weeks. I mean, I understand what's going on because I do click on social media and hear, and like it's all the same. Like literally, it's all the same. Whatever it is, it's all the same. Like I choose to put, if I'm going to do something all the same, it's a 35 to 40 minute workout, and they're all different. I switch them up. I'm going to use that time to make my body better. If I'm going to listen to an audio or read a book, or like the trivia question, which only a couple of people are trying to answer on my watch party, Sarah's trying to answer, is I'm going to put that hour into writing. I'm reading, I'm writing, I'm studying, I'm praying, I'm meditating. I'm going to put those 2 hours instead of into media, social media, entertainment, I put that extra 2-3 hours into my physical, mental, emotional, spiritual well-being. And then someday, whenever the dust settles and we see where we're at, which is always where we're at now, it's never settled, it's just a journey. But people are like, oh, how did Chuck do so well? Or how did he do this? Well, I didn't do that, and this is what I did. And I'm not saying this is perfect. There's higher achievers, higher producers, people with bigger, brighter goals that are doing much better. But for somebody like myself, that's what I do. I spend that extra 2-3 hours on my body, reading, writing now. And again, you can guess the trivia question. I'm going to put it back up here, and you can read it. How many devotionals has Chuck, that's me, posted on his Active Brain Real Estate blog so far? And then how many I've written in total? I thought we'd have more people watching, but it's Tuesday. They're all busy.
If you don't know what a devotional is, how many pages, how many daily things has Chuck written?
Daily messages, blog posts.
Yeah, some people may not know what a devotional is.
To me, a devotional is like a spiritual message, just so people know, where I take a scripture and write a little message on it, and then have a little prayer, meditation, or affirmation you can say at the end of it, just to kind of reset your focus. Like Michelle said, something positive. Not everybody does that. I've been doing the daily devotionals, other people, for the last 3-4 years, just as a starter to my day, to set my hopefully mindset a little bit better. And then I'm like, hey, why don't I write some from a little bit different perspective? They're first always to help me, but it's also when you're doing things, like I mentioned, when you're improving your life, there also at a certain time has to be an outflow from it. And that was my way of doing an outflow from it. Some people's way of doing an outflow might be volunteering, delivering food, might be cleaning up a neighborhood, might be feeding the homeless. There's different kind of outflows you can do from the inflow of the goodness you want to send and serve to the world. So that was my way, at least to get started, to open the door, to loosen it up from let's keep this all inside, to hey, let's put this out to the world, see if I can bless a couple people, or if they read it and like it.
Yeah, I mean, it's just something you're doing to help your mindset. Yeah. A lot of it is self-talk. How do people talk to themselves? Even when they're out looking for a house, they're just like, oh, we're never going to get a house, or, oh, we'll get the one that we're supposed to get. I mean, I strongly believe, I'll tell every single client of mine, you will get the one you are supposed to get, but you have to be out there willing to try, willing to be negotiate with yourself a little bit too, we have to buy it for, no, you have to be open to what the universe is kind of giving you as well.
You don't want to be rigid. Rigid is hard. A lot of rigid sellers out there. Do you know what the houses that are still for sale and active are? Rigid. Normally rigid people.
Yeah. Negative rigid, people.
Rigid on their price, or rigid on I don't want to do work, but I want this higher price than it should be. That's typically what it is. That's 90% of them. Inflexibility.
Yeah, or I mean, obviously there's some that are in areas that don't just sell as fast. But if you're in an area anywhere in the Twin Cities and you're under $350,000, your house should be sold by now. If it's not sold, you're being probably rigid. Sorry to tell you, but you are.
Yeah, and there's a different kind of rigidness. There's whatever instructions we give, whatever. Sometimes we give instructions, people reject us, and then they come back a month later, why aren't we doing this? Oh, remember day one when I said we got to do this, and you're like, no, we're not doing that. Mm-hmm. And then they kind of disappear and go quiet. I got to come up with another angle to say it's not my fault that the house isn't selling. Again, I'm not saying it's a seller's fault, but typically we've given the advice we can give, and then it's basically up to them to work with us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and that's if you're going to sell in the future with us, you're in another state, going to work with another realtor, you're currently working with somebody else now and just came upon this. You also have to look at how you're handling the situation as a seller or buyer, and then communicate if there's a different way you want your realtor, or if we're your realtor in the future, or even now you want us to handle it. It's a lot of it's communication. Tell us what you think, and obviously. We're I'd say very positive, uplifted, very prosperous, abundant mentality mindset. So things in general will go better when you're in that mindset.
Mm-hmm. I've got Roxy barking at me too. So did you get an answer from your blog question yet?
No, I didn't. Sarah, who has won a couple times in the past, is trying to answer. So I thank you, Sarah. So I actually have just been writing it I started writing to get some down about 2 months ago. End of April, I started writing 2 or 3 a day. So when I started posting it, there would be enough posts starting May 1st to get them out there on a daily basis. And then I have several more written. We might do a to be continued on this one. We might just come with a different question next time, since it was probably a bad question. I tend to ask long-winded questions that confuse people.
It's a hard question.
It is a hard question. So we might just do another one next time, because it is not quite the top of the hour, but it's just me and Michelle. Either Stacy is listing a house, apparently. That's what she's doing.
Good job, Stacy.
Good job, Stacy. We'll have another listing in Ogilvy coming soon for about $120,000 for those people who love the Ogilvy properties we get.
Yeah.
And Michelle, before we wrap it up, final thoughts that we didn't cover. We did cover a lot of ground, some tips, some advice on what's happening in Minnesota real estate. That's kind of the name of the show, What's Happening in Minnesota Real Estate. June edition here. We'll probably not have another June one. It'll be July next time before we do another live video. So then it'll be the July edition, early month.
Yeah, maybe we'll just be doing the every 2 weeks thing, like how we're getting stats every 2 weeks now, because that means the market's picking up. So
yeah,
we're getting busy. I just say, like, decide and do. So if you're like, okay, the market does sound like it's pretty good and we do kind of want to move, then get your house ready, get it on the market. You don't need to wait. You can sell it contingent on finding a house. And of course, if you know anyone out there that's listening right now still or later that is looking to buy or sell or rent a property of any kind, in Minnesota can pretty much help you anywhere, one of us. Or some people want both of us. Recently, we've got people that just want both of us. And we definitely both can help you at the same time as well. So that's about all I got for today.
All right. Thanks for joining, Michelle. Thanks for listening, watching. If you're listening to the recording and it's the podcast, you can always leave a review of the show. If you're listening to the recording of the broadcast on Facebook, likes and loves are always good. If you're somebody who has an off-air question you didn't want to ask, always reach out to personally message one of us through Facebook. You can always, you probably have our information or can find it online. Reach out to Michelle or myself or Stacy, who's not on today. And we would be happy to answer your questions and obviously help you with your real estate needs or referrals or just general questions, even about refinancing. Had one of those today, and I sent somebody some information to reach out to Linda on. So we help you with all those real estate related questions, items, and information. So again, take care. Thanks for watching. Have a blessed rest of your week. And we will be talking to you again probably in about 2 weeks.